Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today I have with me in the studio a couple, which is a very rare interview for me, but I had to have them on. They are passionate about education, very committed to this community. Constantly giving back, and I just learned moments ago that one of them, of this dynamic duo, has changed career paths. So I could go on, but I would like for them to share a little bit more about what's going on, what's preceded their current situation, and what the plans that they have as they move forward. They are none other than Miss Latoya Watts Jackson and Mr. Jesse Jackson. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Ma'am?
Doing great.
Good. Thank you for joining me today. You pulled away out of your busy schedules, and so I won't hold on to you too long, but the world needs to know a little bit more about what you all do so well on a daily basis, how you all make it look so effortlessly, do it effortlessly, actually. Tell us a little bit more about you, academic backgrounds, and what you are then will segue into what you're currently doing. Ma'am?
Absolutely. Born in Albany, Georgia, raised in Tuskegee, Alabama, went to Alabama A&M University, major in English Language Arts Education. Started my career teaching English in Terrell County, Dawson, Georgia. Transitioned to Dougherty County School System as an English teacher at Westover High School. Went back to school, got my master's in reading education from Georgia Southwestern. Went on to get my specialist from Nova Southeastern University in curriculum and instruction, and also my doctorate in instructional leadership from Nova Southwestern as well. I am a 16-year educator. I am currently the assistant principal at Westover High School.
We need her to run for Mrs. USA. I know. I love that. That's an amazing platform that you just said so eloquently. Wow. And I knew you had a diverse portfolio. Didn't realize it was that extensive listening to it. Yeah. So she illuminates the passion.
Yes, she does.
Yes, I'm sure that was part of the attraction, sir.
Absolutely.
Tell the viewers a little bit about your background.
All right. My name is Jesse Jackson Jr.
Yes.
I am a proud Albanian. I was born right here in Albany, Georgia. I went to college at Valdosta State University. I majored in history, and that is where I received my history degree. I got my specialist and master's at Troy University, and specialist at Nova Southeastern. From there, I am a 15-year veteran teacher in the Dougherty County School System. I'm a proud social studies teacher, and I will be always a lifelong educator.
I love it.
I am currently, now I've transitioned just a little bit, I am currently the operation manager at J&J Healthcare, a wonderful, wonderful company. We've been in existence for now 11 years. And we are one of the best home health care agencies in Albany, Georgia.
Okay, I love that. I love it. The passion, whatever the discipline, whatever the profession, the passion still remains. Jesse, let's go back to you a little bit. And you were very adamant about that position that you've taken, that stance, being a lifelong educator.
Yes.
So what was that point early on in your developmental years where you knew that that was the direction that you wanted to go in? What ignited that spark as it relates to education?
Honestly, I can remember my grandmother, Mary L. Jackson, my father's mother. I spent a lot of time with her. She had Alzheimer's. And one thing that she would tell me all the time, she would say, "Babe, get your lesson now. Get your lesson, because grandma couldn't." Wow. And as I grew older, we would get in detail with that conversation. Even though her memory would go in and out, my grandmother had to go to the fields. And education was a luxury that she just couldn't afford. So she made it her point to stress education, and not only her two sons, my father and my uncle, but also the grandchildren as well. So that was something that I knew I was going to be in education all my life. Currently now, I'm pursuing another degree And people ask me why, I always say, why not?
Powerful, powerful, yeah. Well, what a legacy to continue. Those few impacting words that she gave you, but they continue to resonated, and they continue to live on. And so, what an excellent example. and I'm sure you share this with your children that were in the classroom, and certainly in the two that you all share, that powerful story. And it's missed sometimes, even to a greater degree with young people, because there's just such a huge space where students or our foreparents or our ancestors were denied the opportunity to learn. And so that education is taken for granted, that it's always been accessible. So the fact that it resonated with you and that you continue to remind individuals or live that, embody that, the value of it is so important. Thank you for that. Ma'am, the passion, where did that start for you in terms of education?
My mother was a U.S. history teacher. So I used to love doing her bulletin boards and just everything education growing up. And similar to Jesse, my grandparents, my mom's parents, were very, very instrumental in raising me. And my grandmother graduated from high school, but my grandfather had to stop in the 8th grade. And that's because his parents passed away, and he had to continue the family legacy of working in the fields for his siblings. So my grandfather, World War II vet, said, you've got to go to school. My grandmother said, you know, yeah, I married your grandfather, and he took really good care of me, but they don't always make them like this anymore. So you've got to make sure that you get an education so that way you can be able to provide for yourself. And I'm just blessed to marry a man that shared that same passion about education and just being lifelong learners.
Wow. So I had a little chill. I had one with you when you're talking about your grandmother too, but one of the things that I love that your grandmother shared with you is the importance of prepare yourself that you may have to live a life of independence.
Yes. And remember, I'm an only child.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That is, yeah, so powerful because again, in the days of yesteryear, that was the expectation that the male be the provider. That was just a given and a standard. May not have always occurred, but that was always just a part of that foundation in terms of the development. But for someone to say, don't take that for granted, things may change, and so you need to be able to stand on your own. Powerful messaging. Yeah,
yes.
That's amazing. So you both shared that experience in terms of the Dougherty County school system, and then we'll talk about you venturing off into this other pathway. But how has it impacted you? I know personally that the impact that you have on students, and so I thank you for that all the time. And you always remind me it's going to be fine, it's going to be okay. Yes. He's doing great. You just gave me a great message with that. The theme for today seems to be, I had two other guests that preceded you all. We were just talking about raising children, and I shared with them, and they agreed that it is both rewarding and very challenging at the same time. At the same time. But I also shared with them that those that find themselves in the teaching field, in the instructional field, that is, I've always had the utmost of respect for you because it is really a calling. Yeah. So in your particular case, you all have two that you all do that 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then you said, okay, now I want to go into the classroom to do that. Why Dougherty County School System, and how has that impacted you?
Well, so many reasons. I've had several opportunities to learn from great educators, some that are still in the Dougherty County school system, others that have retired. But one of the things that they instilled in me was just to ensure that I'm doing the best for every child that I meet. So no matter what the socioeconomic background, no matter what this child is going through, you have to make sure that you're an advocate for this child, because you may be the only advocate that they have. And it's not that their parents don't care. It's just the simple fact of not every parent has had positive experiences in school. So they need to meet someone that's going to always be there for them. And years ago, I think this was probably one of my education classes at Alabama A&M University, I read an article that said, to win the day, you must win the morning. So I try my best to be that shining bright light, that smiling face for every student, because I want to win the day with them. So if they see that smiling face in that morning, no matter what happened the night before, no matter what happened on the way to school, hopefully my smiling face would change them and help them to focus on their lesson for today. Sure. So I think that there are some great minds in the Dougherty County school system, and I want to work hard, as I always have, for this community.
Well, you certainly have demonstrated that. You probably, Jesse, see this in terms of your now you've kind of ventured off into the healthcare spectrum, but the beginnings and how that sets the tone for the rest of the day. And you reminded me of a conversation I had with Horace Reed. I don't know if he's still in the school system. Yeah. So this has been years ago, but it stuck with me, and I happened to serve on a committee, and he said that the key days are in terms of learning. All of them are important, but he said that Friday and that Monday are critical. And I was struck by that, and I said, why? And he said, Wendy, many of our students leave here knowing that this will be the last full meal that they will have.
Absolutely.
For the week, because they're going to go home on Saturday and Sunday, and there may not be that opportunity to eat. So then they come to school, so there's a thought of that reality, and then they come to school on Monday famished, just starved. And so that's setting the tone for the day. And
not just that, but safety. I know you've probably heard a lot about Mr. Dyers, as he's charged our community to increase our family and community engagement. Yes. And a part of that is ensuring that we have safe schools, because a lot of our students feel safer when they're in the building. So you're right, when they go home for the weekend, a lot of things, that security blanket that they have within our schools, may be ripped from them.
Absolutely.
That's a lot to process. Yeah. Again, I'm back to the calling. That is not for the faint of heart. And so here, I've been in education, the higher ed realm, for going 17 years, and so I have to admittedly approach it very still naively, thinking that students have all that they, and I know that they don't, and I know that it's our responsibility to provide them with a holistic education, but the things that we take for granted that we do and don't even give much thought to, because we know that are fortunate enough to be able to feed our children, clothe them, and now you talk about the safety component. That's some phenomenal baggage to bring to the table every day, and then you expect me to focus on the algebra lesson or the social studies lesson that is before me.
You know, when I was in the classroom, I probably started this about 10 years ago. First day of school, I would ask my kids, I would say, okay, I want you all, everybody who is completely content and satisfied with where you woke up this morning. You don't want anything better for yourself, stand up. And I have yet to have a student stand up. And I would turn right around and tell them, if you want better, this is the place where you get it. And education cannot be talked about, it has to be lived. Education is just that important. Many of the students in this city live to some degree in a level of poverty. So as a teacher, I have to understand that and say, okay, you know what? I know where you're coming from, but let me help you get to a place where you don't have to go back. You don't have to go back. And education is that vehicle. Education is that vehicle to take you there. 15-year teacher, 17-year football coach. I tell all my athletes the same thing. I had one of my young men graduated, FaceTime me this morning at Savannah State University. And I told him, man, I'm so proud of you. He said, Coach, I appreciate you. I'm playing football, but I'm going to graduate. He said, my goal is to graduate in 3 years.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, that's it. You know, sports come and go.
Yes.
All the accolades come and go, but your education will be with you for a lifetime. So that's why my wife and I are such advocates of education. I tell kids, you know, You may come from this type of background, that type of background, but that doesn't matter. What matters is, are you preparing yourself the best you can for your future?
Absolutely.
That is what matters.
Okay. Let's segue into the health piece, because now I'm listening, I'm going back, I'm processing. I'm still stuck on what you said about who stood up during when you put that before the students. That's powerful, and that's huge. Then you have to then transition into the lesson plans after you know the response that you receive. And so as I can tell, how has that parlayed, if you will, you've transitioned out that same level of passion, and what then caused you to say, I want to move into another arena of healthcare? And you may say, Wendy, there's a lot of similarities in that. So share with the viewers.
Well, I tell you what, going back to my grandmother, my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and she had got to a point that she could not really be alone anymore. I'm giving you an example. My grandmother could make the best. I know everybody thinks their grandmother makes the best biscuits, but mine made the best biscuits. So, and she would, I mean, from scratch.
Yes.
But she had got to the point where she still knew how to make them, but she would put them in the oven and forget. And this happened a couple of times, and we had to say, okay, we had to unplug the oven. We had to unplug the oven, and it's like, as she was maturing in age, her skills started to diminish. So we did not know that there was programs out there that you could have caregivers come into the home and sit with the client to do household chores. So we look at it now as saying that our lack of education really was the foundation for our business. We began, and it started with my mother. She began to educate herself on home health care. And and I tell young people all the time, when you have a dream, you're not going to wake up and it comes to fruition.
Yes, there's some work involved.
You got to work. You got to work. And this J&J Healthcare is a product of 11 years worth of work. And my beautiful wife would tell you that, you know, I was teaching the school system, but I would get up before I would get to school and go and clean the office, take out the trash. I mean, I was going to make sure that our company, I was going to do my part, because it is a family effort. And when I say family, I'm not just talking about those with the last name Jackson. We have awesome office workers. We have awesome caregivers who make J&J run. So J&J is not about you know, myself or any one person. It is about those who carry that badge around their neck, who are employees of J&J Healthcare. I'm an employee of J&J Healthcare, and we work hard because at one point in time we didn't know that this exists. So now I go out and I educate people.
Great.
I'm still educating.
There you go.
I educate people about home health care, how to get healthy. Myself, my wife, I get on my wife's nerves, but I have transformed my diet. I'm probably feeling better now than I have in the last 5 years.
Really?
Yes. I'm a former football player, so my aches in my back, my joints, I'm feeling much better.
Lifestyle change.
Lifestyle change.
Well, we're going to have you come back so that I can take copious notes on that. Yeah, and this mid-50s range is not for the faint of heart, so I know I need to do some lifestyle changes too. Yeah, that's great. One of the things that I love that you made a point to say that it is a family affair, if you will. And that you embrace all the members of the company and view them as such. The other point that was so beautiful, and young people in particular miss this, is that it is a process. It is not overnight.
Right.
Yes, your dream was birthed out of necessity. How do our loved one is going through a change that is impacting the entire family or whole household, if you will. We have to ensure her safety. And so there's some other individuals who are on this same path.
Right.
And so how can we help her? And from that, this business grew. But 11 years. 11 years, yeah. You stayed, you were steadfast and saw it to fruition.
Yes. There were times that, you know, my mother would come home, and when we started out, I tell people all the time, when we started out, we had 2 clients. We had 2 clients, but the road to success is not straight. There are left turns, right turns, there are hills, there are valleys.
Yes.
And we stuck to it, and more so than anything, our faith is strong.
Absolutely.
Our faith is strong. So when we went through those valleys, we knew who was there with us. When we are on top of the hill, we knew who was there with us as well.
I love that.
So we just, in those times 11 years ago make today feel even better, because we know we have come from a long way.
Yes.
But we have a long way to go.
Yes.
So we're just extremely blessed.
Yes, you are. So I don't know if she told you that your beautiful wife, my beautiful sorority sister.
Right.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about Greekdom,
okay, let's talk about it.
I am a proud member of the fraternity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the fraternity.
Which one?
Kappa Alpha
Psi.
Yes, ma'am.
So we were going to get to that. Sir, we weren't going to leave that. we were going to talk about the Greekdom. We're just, the ladies first.
I am so sorry.
No, I'm teasing you. That's fine. Thank you for sharing that important piece. And so when I reach out to her, you all are so, and I say this with all sincerity, so gracious in sharing your beautiful family with the world. And so there's been many days just scrolling through photos and the various postings, and I say, how in the world do they do it? Because I know you're educators, and our relationship far exceeds just the sorority. It's, she's had an impact on my son went to Westover, or is currently at Westover, and then my daughter went to Monroe, but she has been huge in helping me to navigate the teenage years with my son. But I know for a fact, as you know, she just doesn't do it for one child. She does it for everyone. So you all do that, you have your respective careers, you do that very well. And then you're balanced, you're traveling with your children, you're exposing them to them. I've seen your postings on Facebook where you have kids at competitions when you were in the school system teaching. I've seen interviews where they've won the competitions and you're exposing them. So all of that, and I sit back and I marvel, and I'm like, how do they get it done on a daily basis? So who wants to volunteer and share the time management practices and teach me a lesson? Okay.
A lot of it.
Between the two of us, and I tell everybody, my hat's off to my beautiful wife, because for a long time, we've been married 11 beautiful years. I almost got in trouble. 11 years, and all of that except for 3. I was not only an educator but a football coach.
Yep. Wow.
And anybody that, to the coaches out here, they definitely understand. Once you finish teaching for the day, it's another 3 to 4 hours.
That's right.
So a lot of times when I would get home from practice, the kids are asleep. When I would get up and head to the school, the kids are asleep.
Yeah.
So some days I'm in the same house, but I wouldn't even see the kids, and it was all on her. And I would look at her and I say, and I would ask the same question: how are you doing this? Because my daughter has dance, my son has soccer, my son has baseball, my daughter has a programs that she has to be in,
school and everything.
Right. So I would marvel. I would look at her and just completely marvel at how she did it. And I think it has become a little bit easier on her because now I can pitch in a lot more.
Okay.
But for the longest, and mind you now, while this was going on, she was pursuing her higher education.
Working on a terminal degree,
Yes.
very active in the sorority.
Very.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very. So,
I'm insane. I don't know.
Oh, okay. 'Cause look, I was going to ask you, and look, and how do you stay sane? That's my journey. That's my question.
It's balance.
Okay.
It's been balanced. One of the things that I didn't want is I didn't want my children to lack because of work or because of my involvement in the sorority. I wanted to make sure that I was bringing the children up in church. We wanted to ensure that they got to Sunday school. We wanted to make sure that they participated in church service. We also wanted to make sure that we were exposing them to things that our parents exposed us to. We both laugh about how we grew up, and we talk about family vacations that we had in the 80s. And so the fact that he grew up taking vacations and I did too, it was important that we continue that. And when you're educators, it's hard to figure out the best time because most people know that educators, we don't have the summers off. Especially,
don't you still love when people say, "How are you enjoying your summer break?"
I don't have that. So we try our best to make sure that if we can plan small trips here and there, because we blinked our eyes and the kids are in 2nd and 4th grade. We're scared if we blink again, it's going to be high school. We don't want to miss any moment. And so that means that we may not sleep 8 hours a night. We may say, okay, hey, we got to do this for our children. But we don't want to lack our profession. Those students, as I said earlier, I'm a believer. I may be that person that is the advocate for that child. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of them as well. So it's just really a lot of moving pieces, and it takes a lot of prayer because there are times where I do get tired, but I have to say to myself, you know, I got to keep going because there's a higher calling. There's a reason why God put me at this moment, this place, and I'm very, very thankful. And he will tell you, now I was out there at all the football games with the children. We had special shirts, you know, saying we love Coach Jackson because we enjoyed being there with him. And it was, you know, we love to see him on the field, and he will look up and the kids are screaming and jumping and hollering. They're so excited. But to watch at the end of the game, whether win or lose, and they would run on the field just to see his dad, to see their dad, I think that was just a proud moment for him. So for us, it's the four of us, and we're going to enjoy the time that we have together.
Well, it's sincere and it's genuine, and what just clicked in my mind is the other example that you all provide for the world, and thank you for doing this and just being so candid, is that it is important that you find a mate that compliments you.
That is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people miss that. Right. And so the long conversations and being comfortable. You're a strong force all to your own, and she certainly is too. Yeah. And so, but you all create space for that to coexist.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of people miss that.
And I tell, let me tell the world, by no shape, form, or fashion are we a perfect couple.
Yeah, I know.
We miscommunicate at times.
Yeah.
But our key is to communicate.
Yes.
And sometimes, you know, she may have to like give a good example today.
Not today.
She texts me 300 times today to remind me about 1 o'clock.
Yes.
But I need that, and she knows that I need that because I would have been cross town visiting a client if it had not been for her. I'm like, oh, 1 o'clock. That's right. So, and the same thing with her. You know, sometimes she forgets things, and I say, hey, remember this? She said, oh, okay, I got it. So. I think where she is weak, I'm strong.
Absolutely.
And where I am weak, she's strong.
That's that balance and compliment.
Every day. There's a song that we sing at church.
Yes.
And it's called I Keep Falling in Love with Him Over and Over. And we sing it to each other. And we'll say I keep falling in love with her, and she said I keep falling in love with him. And the reason it is because every day is a new day. And I told her just past Sunday, I said, you know, some things in our marriage that, you know, I know that I can get better. I know that I can get better. So every single day, I'm no longer taking it for granted. It's a brand new day with you every day. And she looked at me, and I think she was almost about to cry.
Well, if she didn't, I am.
Yeah.
I'm about to cry, sir.
Yeah, it's a brand new day.
That's beautiful.
You know, and in light of what has transpired in our country this past weekend, I don't think any of us can take a day for granted.
Yeah,
that's right.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's been a rough week.
Yes.
I was sitting in a meeting on Tuesday and just thinking about preparing for the new semester, and did we close out everything that we needed for the summer semester? Because it's a constant, and then when you cross one thing, 5 other things are added to your to-do list, and so I'm processing all of that, and we're onboarding. We have a new provost here, and so we're welcoming her, and in the middle of that, I got a text that Toni Morrison had passed.
Yeah.
Right.
And that shook me to my core.
Because you're an avid reader, just as I am.
Right, and so, just her impact on the world, and particularly Black women and African American. I mean, just you name the demographic, she's had a huge, but it resonated just because of what you said earlier, the events that had preceded that, and the toll that takes on you emotionally and spiritually, and then it takes a physical toll, the manifestation of all of that, and then to hear that news. And so, yes, it has been, but the key is perseverance. We keep moving forward, but we do have to acknowledge those moments and the realities of our life. Yeah. So I'm excited and overjoyed. I had some great interviews today, but this is the last one, and I have to say, don't tell my other guests, but this is by far the best one for a unique set of reasons. And again, I don't ever recall, and I have to speak with the producer Connie, I don't think we've ever had a married couple on the show. And if we did, there's just no comparison. Your candor and your honesty and your truth about one another is so refreshing, and the celebration of one another is also very refreshing. Not all marriages last. You all are a testament that it is a daily journey.
Absolutely.
But the true piece of it that I love about it is you all acknowledge that, and you all say that we do this on a daily basis. Each day is anew.
It is.
Yeah, and that's powerful within itself. Yeah, you give me hope that if I decide to do it again.
We really do take one day, and she made a great point. I blinked my eyes and I was holding my little girl.
Yes.
And she was my firstborn.
Yeah.
Blinked my eyes again and she was tugging at my pants and I was holding my son. Blinked my eyes and now 2nd and 4th grade. So it is progressively going faster.
It does. Yeah. So the importance of celebrating it on a daily basis. So wow, I know you all are excited about their futures. They have they live with outstanding role models, and when I see them, I'll in my way be able to say them or remind what I know that they know. But I think our children, when they have examples like Jesse and Latoya on a regular basis, it's just natural to assume that everybody else has that. And they don't. You all know that because you see that on a daily basis. You see it regularly. And you're there with the charge of setting the tone for the day. And so that's just powerful on so many different levels. And so your children are very fortunate, the children of Westover, the institution, and those that you still continue to engage with. Are you involved in the Kappa League?
Brother Stamper just contacted me, so yes.
Yeah. We got a phone call and an invitation and acceptance in our household for that, so we're excited about that. Yeah. So I just said that I know you still have your hands on our youth and playing a role in that. So
Latoya and I was just joking the other day. There are very few times, and we have been blessed to teach in one of the best school systems.
Yes, it
absolutely.
In not only the state of Georgia, but in my humble opinion, in the United
country.
States.
Yes,
Northern County school system can stand up to any school system.
That's right.
And even though, and Mr. Dyer and I were talking about this, even though I'm not in it anymore, he said I can never leave.
Sure.
So I'm in. My wife is definitely in, and we are we are vested stakeholders in
We
this
are.
community because Albany is a Good Life city.
Indeed.
Just like I don't know a city in America that does not have something.
Sure.
Our city is very unique, and we have outstanding citizens here. Our school system is awesome. The city is awesome, and we are a product of the city. So when people pat us on the back, we have to pat those who impacted us
Absolutely.
on the back. And I said all that to say that. I mean, there are people that had grabbed hold of me when we were newly married and said, hey, you want to stay married? This is what you do.
Wow.
And we listen. And some people who were not in a relationship gave us some of the best advice.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people, when people talk to you, listen.
Listen, yeah.
That is the easiest thing, but sometimes the hardest thing to do. Listen. So we are a product of 11 years. I pray to God we stay together 111
Yes.
more.
Yep.
But we listen, and we listen to each other.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
So, having said that, I love to read. I would love to read your story in terms of the marriage, how to. Just throwing that out there.
That may be a project.
There you go.
Project,
There
okay.
you go. There you go. Parenting, you all pick.
All right.
Combination. We need it. We need it. Yeah. Yeah. So just think about that. Just think about that. I'm so proud to know you all, know and love and adore her. Certainly adding you to that list. Thank you for all that you do for the community, for our children, for the parents. Now the healthcare industry, you're playing a huge role in that. We'd like to hear the viewers, I know I would, about how that's growing and the impact that you're having for your clients. That's a growing population,
Right.
And so we need to know how to care for them as we continue to age. I'm just excited about what you represent and what you're doing, and I'm speaking that because I know that there is so much greater and more to come. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for joining me today. Know that you're always welcome back on the show.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're very welcome. Viewers, thank you for joining me for this edition of Realizing Potential. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.